Hey gang, Voltie here with a fun little video. Today I'm going to be ranking every type in Pokemon based off purely the vibes they give off. So obviously if we were looking for a competitive viability tier list, it'd be a lot of objective truth and it'd be kind of boring. So instead we're just going to go with what makes the heart sing. This is going to be the start of some Pokemon content for the channel. I hope to do more because, oddly enough, despite how much I've played Magic, I've actually played Pokemon about a similar amount. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with Water. I think Water is a nice, solid B tier. The reason I don't really want to put it higher is that Water is just good. There's never really a bad water type, and obviously forming part of the water fire grass core is pretty important, but there's just so many bad water types that I don't think I could put it into A tier. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't remember 90% of the fish type Pokemon. There's so many. Yeah, I think water can go in B. Following that, I'm going to put grass in A. Actually, I'm going to put grass in S tier, I think. I think grass as a type is just really nice. It's really safe, it's always decently good, but it's never broken. Like, the vibes are never off with grass because, you know, on the one hand, it's a decently okay type. It has some bad matchups, but it has quite a lot of good matchups. But for some reason, most of the grass starters they've made, and a lot of the decent grass mid-game Pokemon are like quite good. Like, we've had Meowscarada, we've had Rillaboom for starters. Bulbasaur is probably my favorite starter out of Gen 1. Let's put grass in S, and then lastly we'll take fire. I'm going to put fire in D. This might be a bit, actually this will be a bit controversial, but you know the guy at the mall with the really shitty tribal tattoos and like the metal chain necklace and the beanie, who just tries too hard, but you know he calls his mum every week? I feel like all of those guys have a fire type as their favorite Pokemon. I don't think it's quite F tier, but I imagine it's pretty close. Yeah, let's put it in D. I think that's nice. Pick another random one. I think normal is going to be our first F tier. I think Pokemon would be better off without the normal type, and I know that's crazy to say, but the fact that there aren't any, like, notable Pokemon that are notable because they're normal type, if that makes sense. There's heaps of good normal Pokemon. There's the Ursalunas and a bunch of the normal flying Pokemon, but as a type, it's just so boring that it doesn't even feel like it's a real Pokemon type. I'm going to put it in F. I think that's nice and safe. Let's put Dark in F tier for the same reasons that Fire is in D tier. Anyone who kind of looks like an asshole either has a Fire type or a Dark type as their favorite Pokemon. Or it's Houndoom, and it's the worst of both worlds. I can't think of any Dark type Pokemon that warranted moving up a slot. They're just all such try-hard edgelords. Like, every single Pokemon that's Dark type just tries way too hard. Opposing trying too hard is Bug. Bug's going to be our second S tier. The vibes with Bug-type Pokemon are immaculate. IMO. Every baby Bug-type, like a Caterpie, your Weedle, all of them are just fun little guys, and I love them all. And, like, there's just so many that are just adorable and would be incredible plushies, like Spinarak. Spinarak is an adorable Pokemon, that is held back by the fact that it's a bug type. But I think if you're bringing, and like there's so many good bug moves as well, like U-turn and sticky web, so it's still like kind of good sometimes, but it's bad enough that I think if you bring a bug type, you're really showing your commitment to the bit. So I think I'm going to put it in S. Let's put Fairy in A tier. I think what's holding back Fairy from S tier is the fact that it's so broken. It's just such a good type, and obviously being the last type they introduced and changing the matchup spread to fit around it. And so, you know, breaking dragon types and whatnot is just a little bit too good. But a lot of the fairy types that they retroactively changed are actually just quite fun. Like, they're fun little guys. Whimsicott is, I think, top 5 Pokemon for me. But I think, yeah, I don't think we can put it in S in good conscience just because it is too good. Let's put... What's next? Alright, we'll pick another B tier. I think Flying can go into B. I think it's a pretty safe bet. As a type, it's fine. It has its issues. Notably, a lot of its weaknesses are really common. And... Actually, I'm going to put Flying in C, I think. I'm going to change my mind there. On the one hand, it's very important that we have a type like this, because if you want to keep making Pokemon, you're going to have to make a certain number of birds. But I think the issue with Flying as a type, in terms of the vibes, is that you can already picture what the Pokemon is if you know that it's a Flying type. It really narrows down the range of what it could be, and so it's like pretty boring in terms of the design space. So let's put it in C. We might move that down a bit. What do we got? I'm going to put Ice in A. I think Ice is like the underdog of the Pokemon tier list. It's like the real scrapper, because as a type, it's fucking terrible. It's very good to have an Ice type move on a Pokemon in your team. It is very, very bad to have an Ice type Pokemon on your team. And so everything they've done to try to make it okay has just not worked. I mean, they changed Hail to Snow, that was a pretty big deal. And they improved Ice Beam's chance to freeze and some other stuff. But like, the Ice-type Pokemon are trying so hard that I think they have to get at least an A tier. Let's put Ghost in... Alright, I'm going to put Ghost in D. Actually, no, there's a lot of really fucked up Ghost Pokemon. Okay. For the vibes, we'll put Ghost in A. We'll put it up here. And I think this is for a very particular reason. At the start of Pokemon, Ghost types were very limited. We had the Ghastly line, and then there was the Mismagius. And then in Gen 3 there was Shuppet and a couple of other additions. And at the start, the Ghost type Pokemon were just like kooky little things. They, you know, haunted small living spaces, and they liked playing pranks on people. And then in the later generations, every single Ghost type Pokemon had a Pokedex entry that suggested the absolute most nefarious shit possible, like that it kidnapped children, or that it was a person that got brought back to life as a Pokemon and then you could catch it in a Pokeball. There's some fucked up shit going in the Ghost types. So I think it moves it up. Because the vibes for Ghost types in the past was really boring and mediocre. And now it's some messed up stuff. And it's just, It's led to heaps of creepypastas and a bunch of really cool story ideas. I think it's going to be held back from the S tier by the origins and just how kind of medium the type is, but I think I'm okay with it there. A rock type. I think rock can go in B. I think that's a nice place to put it. Realistically, rock type Pokemon are exactly what they say on the tin. They're very honest, if that makes sense. You start your Pokemon journey, you have your starter, you move to a cave, you find a guy that's made of rocks, and then you catch it, and the Pokedex tells you it's made of rocks, and it's a rock type. And that's it. That's the end of the story. You have a rock type Pokemon now. It's always the same thing, but it's a very honest thing. So I think I'm okay. Yeah, I think I'll put it there. Ground types, on the other hand, are all kinds of wacko that I'm going to put it in D. See, when you think of a rock type, you have a guy and it's made of rocks. And when you think of a ground type, you have literally no idea what it's going to be. Diglett is a very famous rock type, very famous ground type Pokemon. It's a mole. The part of the ground that it's popping out of is part of its model. That doesn't make any sense. You also have ground flying types, like Landorus. So it's a grounded Pokemon that draws power from the earth, except it flies in the air. Ground being immune to electric is very good. It's a nice way to, ground, I guess, for lack of a better term, the series in reality. But the fact that it's good against so many weird types, and there's just so many weird ground Pokemon that don't feel like they should be ground types. I'm gonna put it in D. Let's put electric down with ground. I'm gonna put it above ground though. Electric used to be a really kind of boring type. You would have like a magnet or a ball and it would shoot electricity, and that was it. And the biggest factor holding electric back is that when we had Pikachu and it was the anime and Pikachu was the best thing going on, electric was great. And then 8 more generations came and we saw 8 more Pikachus, and they were all slightly different, but they were all still fucking Pikachus. I'm gonna put it in D. I don't think it warrants a full F tier, but it's fucking close. Dragon is going in... Alright, I'm gonna put Dragon in D, and I'm gonna defend this. So, on the surface, Dragon, like Fire and Dark, are very, I guess, symbiotic with your Chads of the world, your wife beater wearing, insane clown posse types of guys. But in recent years, they have put greater efforts into making dragon types that don't feel like just a dragon. So at the start, we had Dragonite and Dragonair and Dratini, and Dragonite feels like a dragon. And then we had Gyarados and Charizard, which weren't dragons, despite looking like dragons. And then, over time, they made a couple of dragons that felt like dragons, like Salamence, for example. And then, in Gen 8 or 7 or whatever, we had Goodra, which is a big, slimy guy. And that's a dragon type. It's not even any other types. It's just a dragon type. And then we had Tatsugiri, who's this tiny fish that jumps into the mouth of a whale. And It's a tiny fish specifically designed to resemble the sashimi that you would find in a Japanese restaurant. And that was a dragon type. I don't know how I feel about that. Over time, what it means to be a dragon has been distorted, and I think that's a good thing, because the definition of what a dragon type Pokemon was very unfocused at the start, because Charizard, by all means, looks like a dragon, but it's not. And so, now that we have the ability to go, hey, this thing doesn't look like a dragon, but is a dragon, it's weird. It's a weird type. I think I'm okay with it there. Alright, I'm going to put fighting in B, I think. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Actually, no. No, I'm not. I'm going to put fighting in C. Fighting types have a very traditional issue in terms of Pokemon design and the vibes that the fighting types give off, in that they're all kind of just like a guy that very clearly punches things. And at the start, that was fine. We had Marchop, we got Machoke, which was slightly buffer, and then we got Machamp, who was like the buffest. And that's cool. That's a fighting type. Makuhita, very good fighting type. Hariyama, obviously modeled after sumo wrestling. And then we had like Flo and Sork, who were just guys in karate gis. And sure, one was blue and one was red, but they were kind of just guys. So, actually no, I'm going to change this. I kind of don't like the fighting type, now that I think about it. Because they just haven't broken out of it. They haven't given us fighting types that aren't very explicitly fighting types. Yeah, let's put it all the way down here. I think Poison is a straight to C type. And I think I'm going to lump it with Psychic. These are just kind of honest types as well. Like, if a thing looks vaguely venomous or vaguely poisonous, it's going to be a poison type. If the thing kind of looks like it doesn't fight with its fists or with its arms or with its appendages or with its tail, it's probably a Psychic type. And so sometimes they break out of the mold and we get really weird splits, but unlike the vibes of some of the other types where it's like, this is that type, at least there's a little bit of pause for thought. And also, I just don't mind Poison types, and I don't mind Psychic types. They're a dime a dozen sometimes, but sometimes they're pretty good. Alright, controversial opinion. We have Steel, and I'm going to add another row, because I hate the Steel type. The vibes of the Steel type are not good. There are very few exceptions that I will allow. Like Sizzle, when it got Technician, that was kind of cool. And then it was 3 years later, and it was still bullet punching things, and it was no longer cool. Metagross was cool when it was like the guy. And when you fight Steven, and he brings out his ace, and it's a Metagross, and it punches your shit in, that's cool. But it's not a good vibe. It's just not. I fucking hate the Steel type. Like, they just keep making them, and they keep making them so good. Do you guys know what a Gholdengo is? The fucking Cheese String Man is a Steel type. It is one of the best Pokemon ever made. No question. It has one of the best abilities ever made. It's top 3, like, easy. And if you're playing just singles and not singles and doubles, it might just be the best ability. I fucking hate this Pokemon. I hate Goldango. Why? No. Fuck it. I'm putting Steel in its own tier of F++. Fuck you, Steel. Fucking Steel types. Yeah. I think I'm okay with this list how it is. I would put a separate tier in between the F tier and the Steel tier if I wanted to, but I'm not, because then it won't all fit in the frame. If you disagree with any of my decision points here for this tier list, keep that shit to yourself because you're wrong, or leave a comment and tell me what I got wrong and we can have a discussion about it. If you like this kind of content, hit the like button, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, but otherwise that is the definitive Voltie tier list for the vibes of the Pokemon types. And in 5 years, when there's 6 more types to balance the type chart, I'll be back. Alright, gang. This video was brought to you by the help and support of my patrons, who you can see up here. If you'd like to support me and my content, or if you'd like to see your name on screen, there should be some links below. But otherwise, as I said, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you'd like, and I'll catch you all soon.